What's up, folks? It's MJ here with Alex Storm. We're getting ready to talk Chappie, and we're going to be talking spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, come back, check out this video. So, Alex, what did you think of the movie?
I really enjoyed Chappie. I thought the robot was adorable. He had a great personality. I also liked the other characters, the gangsters, the Antwoord. The only one I didn't like was Hugh Jackman. His character was super dorky and just could have been cooler. He could have been a cooler bad guy. And then by the end of the movie, I was a little tired. But overall, I really enjoyed it.
You were a little tired by the end of the movie?
I was a little tired by the end of the movie.
Okay. Was that because the movie was exhausting or was boring? Or why were you tired?
I was really into it when Chappie was growing, when they were teaching him things. Everything that was about Chappie was awesome.
Okay.
But there was a long action sequence at the end, and it just kept going and going, and like people kept getting shot, and then him bringing his master back to life. It was unnecessary. His creator. I would have been really content. What I thought was going to happen was when they were having the big shootout, I thought that everybody would die, all Chappie's, his people would die, and then he would be like, well, my battery's dead, I'm dying too.
And just fall over dead.
Yeah,
okay.
I would have been so satisfied with that ending, but it kept going for another 15 minutes. And
this is why you're not a screenwriter, I guess. but
this is why.
But it's okay because I think you probably could have made a potentially better villain, certainly, than the villain that was in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, the Antwoord, or whatever they're called.
The Antwoord.
The Antwoord. Okay, so they're this South African hip-hop group or something.
They're like hip-hop, they're like rave rap or something is what they call themselves.
Okay, the subtle distinction between hip-hop. Yeah, okay, rave rap. So, I know nothing about these people as a music group, and I actually, you informed me about their existence. I had seen the trailers and seen them in it, and I was okay, there's some weird-looking actors. But it turns out they're an actual music group. And so just learning that, I figured that they would have a small role in the movie. And as you know, they are basically the main characters outside of Chappie. They're his parents,
Yeah.
And they're super weird. And the thing is, like, I don't know. I mean, I think Neil Blomkamp, the director, he's made some... I don't really feel like the movies he's made have been strange. They've been different. They've been creative. This is hands down his weirdest movie to me.
Really?
I think it's weirder than District 9.
See, I got excited when we saw the preview and I saw that the Antwoord was in. I got excited thinking they were just going to be weirdo side characters. And they're super weird. They're weirdos in real life, and I think that's their appeal. And so seeing them in the movie playing what I felt like was themselves, except for the criminal aspect, was awesome to me.
Maybe they're criminals.
I mean, they might be criminals too. They certainly play off like they're into nefarious things in their music videos and stuff. So I thought they added so much to it. I felt like they played this role in making the movie extra weird. It wasn't just like your typical gangsters. Yeah. They made it like they were weirdo gangsters who are kind of like failures. Like you're not really rooting for them, especially the main guy. You're like, oh, you suck. Like, but you also don't want them to lose because they have Chappie on their side.
But I don't know. See, I think that's the weird thing for me. It's like I couldn't get behind them. I couldn't really get behind the main scientist who created the guys. I definitely couldn't get behind Hugh Jackman's character. I couldn't get behind Sigourney Weaver's character. I couldn't find anything in the movie to really attach myself to. Now,
except for Chappie.
Well, see, no, it'd be weird to say there was no humanity in a movie in which the main character was a robot. But yes, okay, Chappie had this childlike nature about him. He's not bringing anything new to the table. I kept thinking of E.T. when I was watching it. I kept thinking of Johnny Five from Short Circuit when I was watching it. For all you youngins, go back and check it out. It's a pretty cool movie. But ultimately, as a guy who's seen so many movies, I didn't feel like I really saw anything new here. But I will say this about Neil Blomkamp. I mean, the guy is great at visual effects. I think he's one of the best, if not the best guy out there today when you consider the budgets he's working with. Looking at these robots, I'm like, these things are there. They're on set. Yeah. It's impeccable. And I don't know if it's because he's just working with robots and maybe because they're machines, they look more realistic because they're actually not real than like if, say, it was a gorilla or something. But, his effects are just absolutely amazing. So I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, I think it helps that he's not making something that we think of as a living thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there was no point in the movie where I thought, oh, this isn't really a robot, or this robot isn't really with them. They're acting around a thing.
Yeah,
it was so realistic. And the character who Chappie was, I don't know. I was really impressed. Like his voice, his personality, the way he moved, everything was so childish about him, and it makes so much sense because the whole time looking at the billboards, I was wondering why it looked like a kids movie and why Chappie looked like this little kid's character. And it's because he plays a little kid, and he does it so well for being a giant, tough, colorful robot.
Yeah, it's funny because the guy who plays Chappie is Charlton Copley. Now he's been in every single Neil Blomkamp movie at this point. He was the main guy from District 9. He was the bad guy in Elysium, and now I'm assuming, did a motion capture performance as well, but provided the voice and personality for Chappie. It's very different from what we've seen him doing, but you can still kind of see him and hear him in there.
Is his voice really like that?
Not exactly like that. But he is South African, for whatever that's worth. But I want to talk about a couple of things. Speaking of voices, so I don't even know if you can call him the main villain, but the gangster guy that sort of sets the entire plot into motion. The guy who's like...
He's the super bad guy with the bad haircut.
Yeah, the super bad guy with the bad haircut. What is up with the subtitles every time he opens his mouth? I want to put this out there to you guys. You tell me. Tell us in the comments. Do you think you wouldn't have been able to understand what this man was saying had they not been writing everything, typing everything that he was saying on screen? It just seemed absurd to be listening to a character that was speaking English having subtitles down there. I mean, I get it to an extent because his accent was thicker than other people's, but I don't know, man. Sometimes I just feel like studios have very, very little faith in audiences. You know, was that necessary?
I didn't think it was necessary. And I did notice that when he had really short lines like get out or run, they didn't subtitle it. It was when he said whole sentences, and they must have shown it to audiences, and there were enough people saying, I didn't understand what that guy said, but they subtitled it. At the very beginning, though, maybe because he talked so much at the very beginning, I thought they were subtitling everyone. And I was like, no, they can't do this entire movie that's in English with subtitles.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I kind of dissect the entire plot, and then it'll lead right into talking about Hugh Jackman's character. That's really my issue with the movie. It's called Chappie, and it's about Chappie, and there's some existential themes about consciousness and I guess a soul and all that stuff that they touch on, but not in any significant way that's even worth mentioning it, I feel like. But, go ahead.
Oh, I don't feel like the consciousness and the soul was, I mean, he questions that, and that is an issue. The thing that I thought that was the most interesting philosophical points that they were bringing up was what shapes a person, what shapes a person into being who they are.
Okay.
And like seeing the good and evil forces pulling on Chappie and seeing how he can be manipulated. I felt like it was making a really big commentary on society and how kids are raised. I felt like that was much more significant than the consciousness and soul.
Yeah, and just to add on to that point, one of my favorite things about the entire movie was his nose wipe, I guess, gesture that he picked up because the guy was like, I don't know, doing cocaine or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have a nose, but he's constantly going like this. And I just thought it was a really cool little touch that they added. Because, you know, like they're looking at this character like it's a child, but then it still is fully grown and has really quick capacity to learn. So just imagine if you were like a child that almost had a grown adult's brain, and your first exposure to any people were these people. And you saw this guy doing this, not understanding what cocaine is, basically.
Yeah, like what he's doing, just thinking it's like a gesture. It's what you do when you're talking.
So I thought, you know, that was a cool like little flourish they had, but that's also noticing that it makes you wish that there were more things like that in it, you know.
All the little things like that happened throughout the movie, I really liked. Even the way he walked, like the way he walked, and when all four of them were walking together, and he's walking just like Dion part, it was, I don't know, I was stoked on that part.
Yeah. I mean, again, the movie was fun, but like I said, I want to get back to the plot. So these guys owe this dude who apparently people can't understand money, and so they need to do a heist to get a bunch of money to save their lives. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It was just rushed. It just was thrown in, and they had to figure out a way to make the scientist guy, Dean, I think is his name, get involved with them to make Chappie come to life and have him have a reason to be around these characters. Everything just seemed so contrived. Everything seemed like it was just like there to just sort of make everything work so that there could be a story. And that leads to my biggest issue with the movie, which is Hugh Jackman's character. Like, what is his motivation? Like, I don't know what's going on lately with these harebrained plots that people are thinking of in Hollywood. You know, I keep going back to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from last year and the plot to unleash a disease on a city so you can then administer the cure so you can make some money. Well, like, And it's just like, you guys are overthinking it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, just make a guy be mad and want to kill somebody or something. Like, this dude works at a company, and he's just so obsessed about getting his big mech robot thing going that he decides to shut down all the police in this town just so he can get the thing out there. His one little robot. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. And I don't know. The other thing that really bothers me is that they needed that many police. It's like the quick setup. Where Johannesburg, wherever they were at, it's in chaos. And it is like the absurdity that as soon as the robot cops went down, the entire city just burnt down, in a day, in a few hours.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with him was he was this mix of, he wasn't evil enough, and then for what he was doing, like causing all this chaos and wanting to kill all these robots so his robot could go out on the street and win, essentially, to like feed his ego or whatever, that was fine. But then you look at him and you look at his character wearing khakis the entire movie with his like combed down hair
and his mullet.
trimmed beard. And,
don't forget about the mullet.
And his mullet. And he's like, he comes off, even though he's aggressive a couple times, he comes off as this kind of like cowardly character who doesn't know, like, he can't stand up for himself. He can't get the boss to listen to him. He doesn't have any say. He sits in a cubicle and like scowls at the main engineer.
Yeah, it's going to sound weird, but the character is weak regardless, but Hugh Jackman was actually miscast in this role because it should have been like some scrawny dude. Actually, it should have been Sharlto Copley, oddly enough. Yeah. That would have been a better role for him. As a dude that you don't necessarily buy being a complete badass. You haven't seen him being Wolverine, and so he wants to get his robot out there so he can do some stuff. It's like it was just weird because it's like he has this intimidating figure because he's freaking Hugh Jackman and he's 6+ feet tall and muscular.
And we've seen him be so intimidating and badass.
Yeah, and it's like this weird thing of like, he's like a wannabe in this, but it doesn't work.
It didn't fit for him.
I
didn't like when he was in it.
Exactly. Well. Which leads to the final action sequence where he finally gets to get his mech out there. And, I think that the idea is that the mech, that they wanted to show that the mech really wasn't any good.
Yeah.
Because it just gets out there and it's like dropping napalm and shooting bullets through walls and stuff, but they really just kick its ass. I mean, for the most part, Chappie just takes it out so easily, and it's just like 5 times the size of him. But that doesn't make for a good action sequence. See, it's like, okay, we see this thing. It would have been cool. And this thing, by the way, it looks just like one of the, I don't even know what the model number is in freaking RoboCop, but basically the big robots from RoboCop, it's like it's freaking little cousin or something. It's like the same thing. It's the same concept. And, I give Blomkamp a lot of credit for his creativity and his character design, but that particular design was not the most creative.
No, it might have even been cooler if it was another robot shaped like Chappie, but just bigger. And so they had more hand-to-hand combat, like more robots fighting robots instead of this spaceship-looking thing that he had to attack. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, I think that was my biggest disappointment with the action across the board. It was that we have all these robots that are supposed to be really like advanced and really capable, but you don't really see them do anything that cool. They're just shooting guns with like regular bullets. They're using themselves as human shields or robot shields. And they're just kind of walking around.
They're being like cops.
Yeah, there you go.
They're just being like cops.
They're being cops with armor, with impenetrable armor. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
they didn't do any special robot tricks.
Yeah.
And neither did Chappie. Once he learned and got trained by the bad guys, he still didn't do anything especially impressive.
Yeah, for the most part, it was kind of disappointing. So, I mean, that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of how I feel about it. For me personally, as you will learn soon, it's always going to probably be the case. Didn't like it as much as Alex here, but it was all right. I mean, if you're in the mood for some sci-fi, it might be worth checking out. What would you say?
I'd recommend it. It's rated R? It's rated R, right?
Yeah, I think the nudity and some of the violence and tearing people in half.
Even with that, though, it was a movie that was mostly okay to watch with kids, and I feel like kids would be into this movie. Chappie's so cool.
There you go. Alex is promoting child corruption, I guess, by watching this violent film. So, any more thoughts on the movie?
No, that's good. I'd recommend it. Overall, I'd recommend it.
Okay, so that's a recommend from her, and it's a meh from me. On that note, that will conclude our spoiler discussion for Chappie. Remember, you can follow me at The Only MJ, and you can follow Alex at
Alex Storm, TMT, as in The Modern Truth.
There you go. And speaking of The Modern Truth, for all of your news and movie information, check out themoderntruth.com. Thanks, guys. See you next time.